Good afternoon, my fellow Americans. My name is Ronald Reagan, and I was the 40th President of the United States of America. I'm going to share with you now some of the high points, as well as the low points of my life and my 8 years in the White House. It's good to be back in Illinois, because as you may or may not know, it all started on February 6, 1911 in Tampico, Illinois. When I was 2, my family moved to Dixon, not far from Tampico. Because I spent most of my childhood there, I consider it to be my hometown. I went through public schooling, through grammar and high school, and I'm proud of it. And in 1932, I graduated from Eureka College in Peoria, Illinois, with a degree in economics and sociology. It was then that I traveled to Chicago to become a radio broadcaster in sports. But it would not be until 1937 that I discovered my true passion, acting. I won a contest in California that earned me a contract with Warner Brothers. During the next decade and a half, I would star in more than 53 feature films. During this period, I also met and married Jane Wyman, another actress, but the next several years would be rough for me. Unfortunately, our marriage did not work out. I knew something then had to go right because everything seemed to be going wrong. And it did. In 1951, I met and married Nancy Davis, an actress from right here in Chicago. We had 2 children. Also in 1953, I became president of the Screen Actors Guild in Hollywood, California, and held that position for several years. This position would give me the big boost I needed into politics. In 1966, I changed my political party from Democrat to Republican and was elected to the governor of California and re-elected to that same position in 1970. Believe me, governing California was a huge challenge for me. And during my 8 years there, I feel that I dramatically improved the welfare system. Then, for the next several years, I campaigned for the presidency numerous times. Finally, in 1980, I succeeded and became your 40th President of the United States of America. With George Bush as my Vice President and Nancy at my side, we were headed to Washington. But you may ask, can an actor have the qualifications to be president? We're about to find out. At age 69, I was the oldest man ever to be inaugurated as president. The emphasis of my first presidency was to establish a strong national defense and a hard line against the Soviet Union. On the domestic side, I promised to reduce the size and cost of government. In March of 1981, just 2 months after I was inaugurated, a man tried to assassinate me, Ronald Reagan. But I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it'll take a lot more than bullets to stop Ronald Reagan. Thankfully, my injuries were not fatal, and later that month, I was able to get Congress to support my economics bills. It was now where my economic plans were first dubbed the name Reaganomics. My economic plans worked so well that you, the people of America, re-elected me in 1984 to my second term as president. I believe it was Nancy who said to me with a laugh after I was inaugurated a second time, "Uh-oh, Ron, here we go again." During this term, my focus turned primarily towards foreign affairs dealing with the Soviet Union. Then, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev and I held our first summit on nuclear weapons in November of 1985. We would continue to discuss this topic for the next several years before we would reach an agreement. Finally, in 1988, we did reach an agreement. The agreement was called the Intermediate Range Nuclear Firearms Treaty, or the INF Treaty. I feel this was my greatest achievement while serving my second term. There are other events in my life that I would prefer not to discuss with you here, because they are painful and saddening to me. These topics are the Iran-Contra affair and my battle with Alzheimer's disease. Please do not misjudge me for this. I truly appreciate your understanding. In closing, let me thank you, the American people, for giving me the great honor of allowing me to serve as your president. I hope I have left you with an impression of how my life has affected this country. When the Lord calls me home, whenever that may be, I will leave with the greatest love for this country of ours and eternal optimism for its future. My fellow Americans, farewell. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless this country we call America.